I feel like I finally stepped into my sound through all of this trial and error. I ended up where I first started when I was collecting vinyl. In that moment, I knew this was it. This was it.
Testing. 1, 2, a shuba lubba do. Hey, hey, shuba luba do. Okay, are you comfortable?
Yes.
All right.
Should we drop in?
Let's drop in. How would you like to drop in? I'm going to leave this one up to you. How would you like to drop in? We usually do a collective breath here at Soul Party.
I think we should just close our eyes for about a minute.
A whole minute?
Just meditate. just drop in, baby.
Are you going to lead us in the meditation?
Sure. All right. So
okay.
We're going to inhale on 3, 2, 1. Take another sip and hold. That one was unannounced.
Was that the meditation? Matteo Liegghio, Matteo, welcome to Soul Party.
Thank you for having me. It's about time.
It is about time. Guys, if you don't know who this is my boyfriend, my travel companion, my partner in events, life.
We're life. Life partners. Partners in life.
Partners in life.
There's a lot we do together.
There's so many things. Yeah, you can't even say like partners. I can't even tell you all the things that we do together. Our lives have definitely collided, for sure. And
we've definitely dipped our toes in.
We've been dipping. We've been double dipping.
We've been double dipping.
Double dipping all around the town. I need to start with the first official question of Soul Party. We ask everybody this.
All right.
What makes you feel like your soul is having a party? Breathe into that one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I needed to just feel that one out for a sec.
Feel that one.
That one inevitably is when I'm in the pocket.
What is the pocket?
When we're in it, when we're deep in a sound journey of some incredible music and energy and people, and everyone's on the same frequency and just expressing through dance, through movement, through shaking, through screaming, through shouting, through yelling, through all of it. You know, and I'm there and I'm receiving that, and I'm giving them some different flavors, some different music to feed off of, you know, and it's like this communal, sacred, spiritual ceremony that we're diving in on the dance floor, you know, and when I'm just, even when I'm alone and I'm going through some music and I'm making some music, it just, I feel it in every aspect of my body, my soul. That's what makes my soul have a party.
When you hit the pocket.
when we hit the pocket.
And you know what? There's so many topics that we're going to talk about today. A lot of people have responded to the poll today that I did on Instagram. People have a lot of questions for you and for us. But I think that that's a great transition, and I think we should start with music, because you just kind of tapped on it in terms of your Soul Party expression. So would you like to talk a little bit about your music journey and DJing? And I think what I'd like to do is just prompt you by saying, what I've always told you and how much I admire that you believe in yourself. And your music journey, at least what I've witnessed, and I've been here through the whole thing of it, so unless there's things going on behind the scenes, but
On the floor.
On the floor. There's things going on the floor. But what I've witnessed is that a lot of it was just really self-taught. And a lot of it was a radical belief in yourself to get past certain doors and open up opportunities for yourself, make connections, just really get out there. And it's been a journey. I've been along your side through you DJing in Costa Rica in exchange for a comped meal to now DJing at festivals, DJing at Burning Man. So I'd love for you to just talk about the journey because I think that there's a lot to learn from that.
I would love to. Yes, thank you. It really started when I was growing up, and my father, he'd be driving me to school or to my baseball game, and he'd be bumping the Stones in his car, or Pink Floyd or Queen. He was a big classic rock guy. He really got me into music, and from a very young age, and he took me to so many concerts. I can't even, 30, 40. I went to a lot of shows with him growing up. And yeah, inevitably that opened doors to all different types of music, one being electronic music. Yeah, eventually I started going to, parties all over the world, in Europe, in Ibiza and Berlin, and with some friends of mine in Detroit. We would travel and we would specifically travel and set up our trip around these parties happening, these events, these gatherings. It was really a special thing because we would go there and we would just not only connect with others, but connect with ourselves truly. And it was a place for us to just express ourselves and to manifest. These dance floors, they're an incubator for just envisioning yourself and practicing all of that self-visualization. It's all happening on the floor. It truly is. I can't even tell you.
Shamelessly plugs his party every second sentence.
I can't help it because it's our ethos. This is our life.
Yes.
This is when you backtrack and you actually see what's happening here. It's
Yes.
it's actually all happening on the floor, and this is for life.
I feel like that's the most exciting thing that's happening for you right now in music. So we don't need to brush past it, like me saying shamelessly promoting your party. It's we don't even need to brush past
there
that.
Ain't no shame in that.
That
baby.
is you are extremely excited about it. And this goes through your evolution. So where you've gotten to right now is just reconnecting with the roots of house music, of disco, which is the origins of house music. And you're just really excited about it. And you're talking about it. There's party planning. There's a massive vision that you've finally landed on. So take us with you. Do you want to go journey? Do you want to? I feel like we'll get there. I think we'll get there.
Yeah. So I mean, inevitably, I was going to all these parties, these gatherings, these events globally, and along the way, I knew I wanted to be a DJ, and the time would come. I still had some learning to do, and every dance floor I stepped on, it was an invitation for me to learn about the history of it all and educate myself by actually stepping into it and feeling it and being in it. And in 2016, I started collecting records. Actually, 2015. A really good friend of mine, he started collecting records, and he bought 2 Technic 1200 turntables, and I would go over and we would hang out and we would start spinning vinyl and just hanging out, amongst ourselves. And, maybe we had a friend or two over, and we were always playing records. And even before we went to the party, we would be playing records. Then we would come back and play records. And it was always this thing, and it was this cultural thing, going to the record store and just digging for some new music. And, you never know who you're going to meet at the record store. And then, maybe the fellow working behind the counter starts telling you about a party happening this weekend, and then you go and you meet all these other people, and it just opens so many doors. So for me, I really liked that aspect of of records and vinyl. And so that's how I started. And I never really labeled myself as a DJ. I was just, like a bedroom DJ at my buddy's condo, like we were just playing records and, sharing music with one another. And then eventually, COVID hit, and, I had a collection by now. At one point I lived in Berlin for almost a year, and I was collecting a lot of vinyl there, and I bought myself 2 1200 turntables, and I would practice from time to time. There was something about the speed at which I was discovering new music and not having the means to go out every single time to buy it on vinyl. It inhibited me from the desire of practicing on vinyl. So I kind of it was there and I wasn't really doing it. But then COVID hit, and I'm like, you know what? It's time. I got time on my hands right now. Like, let's go pick up some CDJs. I went on Marketplace. I found a set of 2000 Nexus, bought them immediately, came home, plugged them into my mixer, downloaded some music, some digital music, and I actually connected my turntables within my mixer as well. So I had my 2 CDJs, my turntable, and off I went, and from what I learned on vinyl, I, of course, was able to easily do it digitally. And I practiced for a couple months, and then some friends of mine who run a festival in just outside of Toronto in Ontario every summer, they gave me my first opportunity, summer days. Thank you. They gave me my first shot, and that was my first
shot at doing a workshop.
That was my first gig. Was playing at a festival with a few hundred people, and it was a daytime slot, Sunday, and it was the most magical afternoon.
I was there.
Ever. I
was on hype management.
The sun was shining, the bubbles were going, the kids were running around. It was like a family affair, and just, I'm getting chills just talking about it.
It was actually magical. Let's paint the picture.
Okay.
So we're super excited. We're like telling everybody, we're like, oh my God, like Matt's DJing. This is his first gig, like a professional gig. And we get up there and he's like warming everybody into it. It's a beautiful day. There's charcuterie happening. And it's like a mix and mingle type of day, sunset vibe. And I'm there on hype management next to him because I'm like, yes, like I'm gonna like be next to you, like hyping this thing up. And then I still remember the one track that created a stampede. To me, it was a stampede. Was it a stampede to you?
It was a stampede.
It was a
swarm.
Stampede. Okay, and at the time, you were like one of the first people who dropped this track. Now it's like, okay, we've heard it a bunch of times, but at the time...
I mean, it's an old track and many people have dropped it.
Yes. ABBA specifically has dropped it many times.
Yeah, I mean...
ABBA has been playing that for years.
Yeah, it was an edit. It was a classic edit that gets the people going. And at the time is what she's trying to say is... it was a new edit. It was a new edit. It was hot off the press. And... I dropped it at the perfect time in the set, and people inevitably just swarmed the dance floor.
People came from their tents.
And just
when I say stampede, I mean that they came from their tent.
They were mid-shower and they dropped
every angle, this way, like north, south, east, west, like popping out of the bushes, like. And I still remember because at the end, people who came up to us saying that was my favorite set of the weekend. Like it was just such positive energy that you brought. Set. It was a fun, happy,
smiles
uplifting,
on the dance
smiles,
floor.
Family, like very inclusive set. Everybody was there. And yeah, people were just reporting to us that they heard it and they ran out of their tent. No matter what they were doing, they dropped it and they came.
And the best part is... Before the main drop.
Oh my God, that's right.
I accidentally, with my elbow, hit the reverse button on the CDJ, and the track went back, and I panicked, and I hit the Q button, and the song restarted from the beginning, and it was actually hilarious. I'm like, let's try that again, and then we went at it again, and I actually think it worked. it worked out because there was a friend of mine who came up to me who was like, dude, I'm so grateful that that happened, because in the moment before the drop, I'm like, fuck, I wish I had my phone to record this. And he wasn't able to, and then he was able to then pull it out and get that. So yeah, it was just such, I can't even describe that feeling. Like in that moment, I knew this was it. This was it. This is what I was meant to do, you know? And just after that set, the amount of people that, and not to toot my own horn, I mean, this was my first set. I had a long way to go, lots of learning, you know, I'm still learning, and it's always, it's a lifelong thing. But there were so many people that came up to me and just shared with me what I was able to unlock for them in that moment, that joy, that happiness, that memorable moment that people still talk to about today. You know, I was just this past camp, someone came up to me and they're like, dude, I still think about that Sunday afternoon at your set. And I'm always so, it just chills, you know? And I'm like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm continuing on that journey because of that moment and what I was able to experience. And
Can I ask you about what was the genres that you were playing, and what do you think that did for people?
Yes.
Because we're saying happy set. So can you describe?
There was house music. It was house music, you know, there was some new disco. There was some, you know, there was some like deep house, some deep tech, some groovy stuff, just some, you know, with like classic tracks, groovy bass lines. It was just a fun set. It was fun. It was a happy moment, perfect for the daytime, sun shining, you know? So yeah, groovy, sexy house music.
And what did it feel like for you? Not only to get this feedback, but visually, like seeing this giving and receiving in motion. What did that feel like for you?
For me, it felt it's exactly where I needed to be.
This is it.
I'm like, this is it. This is fucking it. Like, it was like, finally, like, at last, like you're doing that thing that you were called to do for the longest time, you know? And everything I played that day was just music I've been collecting that it was just so authentic to me. I wasn't like looking at what other people were playing. Like, I brought me. You know, what I played was an extension of who I am. Yes. And I think that related and translated very well. And that's what ultimately allowed everyone to have the experience they did.
It's so felt. And the way that I can relate on the receiving end of not only you playing, but also of me being in the crowd, other people playing. I'm very observant. Having a DJ boyfriend means you're extremely observant to other people's sets. How I can relate it to people that are listening, that feeling of authenticity. Playing music that means something to you and just being so in it. Like your body, the way your body language, the way you're moving, your smile, your energy on stage when you are playing music that's authentic to you, that's like communicating your story almost in a sense. It's felt by the audience. And that is a very big difference that I notice in different DJs. And even my friends who are DJs, I know when people are in their set and when they're not in their set. It's just so felt. The audience responds. So that's when we talk about this giving and receiving. That's what it is. You're giving energy and people are giving it back to you. So there's this giving and receiving, and it requires a certain level of attentiveness as well as a DJ, a music curator, a musician.
And presence.
To be present in that. And like, yes, you can prepare your set to a certain extent, make sure that it's like a good representation of how you're feeling and what's alive for you. But also being in that exchange, that giving and receiving exchange, means that you are attentive to the energy that you're getting back from people and the resonance as well. So I love this dance. I love this dance that I observe with DJs who are really embodied in the music that they're playing.
Well said. Well said.
I'm observant.
Well
I'm
said.
observant, yes.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been in situations where, you know, I was also on the organization side of things where I organized the event, and then, you know, there was a lot of stressful things that arose, and ultimately I wasn't able to sink into the music, and it was, you know, I didn't enjoy myself, and it was, you could see it all over me, you know? So it's so important to ensure that you are able to show up for the audience, for the dancers,
For the dancers.
for the people,
for the people,
and do your thing.
Do your thing.
Do your thing.
Do your thing.
Do your thing. Yeah, it's that give and take, and it's that dance, that symbiosis.
It's the energy that you're walking in with as well, and I think that almost comes later in the discussion of us also being event producers and us being in the seat of producing the event, but also being like a featured act at the event as well. And when your energy is just so divided in so many different places and you're wearing so many different hats, you can't, you're spreading yourself too thin. You cannot show up 100% in each thing. And that's like a huge lesson of that balance between producing the event and performing at the event.
Especially when it's an event that requires a lot, you know, when it's a high ticket event, production and the experience that you're bringing, when there's a lot of moving pieces to it and it's beyond just the music. It's something you need to have boundaries with and be able to prepare yourself going into that.
Yeah, that was a massive lesson that we both learned that we're still recovering from. You also were always producing events. So you were producing events, you were hiring other DJs that you were friends with. So you were like in this community of like DJs and music and everything. You were in the community. You loved putting on experiences for people. And then that slowly transitioned into now the experiences that you're creating, you're also DJing at. So that's another really cool thing that you do. It's like you create the experience and then you also provide your fully like 360 degree experience.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting what you just said there sparked some other thought along the journey. And growing up, I always, you know, when I was younger, I wanted to play the drums or buy a drum kit, and my parents are like, fuck no. Like, you're not getting a drum kit in this house.
It'd be so loud.
Boom, boom, choo, boom. So that didn't happen. And that's fine, you know? So, I mean, it was just, that was my earlier age. I wanted to play the drums, and then eventually I wanted to learn guitar, and then I musically, like, I can't play any instruments, right? So, but I loved music so much. So I always had these ideas. I'm like, oh, like maybe one day I could have a record label, or, you know, I started talking to other people in the industry, and they're like, you can be an AR, you know, and just being able to like have an ear for music and curate music, find talent. And I always had an interest in this, you know, and then I stepped into being a DJ.
Yeah.
So it presented itself in so many different ways. And I just wanted to be in the music. I wanted to be surrounded by musicians and artists. And so I created that opportunity for myself by creating these events and booking other artists and bringing people together. Here we are.
What is this desire? Because I think we both relate, because we both create events and experiences. So I want to ask you, and then maybe I'll chime in on it too. For you, what is this desire to create an experience for people? Like thinking about all the different details. Why do we take this on? Because events are a beast. They are a beast. Why do we do it?
For the love. For the passion of people, music, community. It's a labor of love, and you have to really love it to be able to do it. Time and time again, no matter how stressful the event may have been to produce, at the end of the day, it's the most rewarding thing in the world when people come up to you and they're thanking you for what you were able to allow them to feel, and the connections they were able to make, the conversations that were had. Perhaps there were some realizations about self that took place on the dance floor or through conversations, and all the attention to detail is also something that we really look at and want people to experience. And that's ultimately a representation of who we are and how we grew up and how we were raised. And every piece is so important when it's received fully, and you fill people's cup up with love and all that juicy stuff. Yes, you may have felt a little depleted in the process while giving to those people. And so it's always worth it. And there's always lessons. And through those lessons, you're able to recognize how you're able to do that without emptying your cup, and protecting your energy and yourself. That's life, right? You go through the process of trying things, failing, trying it again, failing. You need to do in order to learn. You need to fail. If you don't do, you're never going to fail. And that's what happens when there's that perfectionism. Myself having these perfectionist tendencies as well. There's so many ideas I've had over the years and things I never ended up executing because I always wanted them to be a certain way, and then they never went out. And eventually, 5 years down the road, when you finally do the thing, it's like, well, now you just wasted 5 years waiting to do the thing, to fail, to learn the first thing 5 years later, when you could have done it and failed a bunch of times and taken.
So what we're telling you is go fail.
Go fail.
Go fail. You're going to learn
fail
something.
Again,
fail,
and again,
fail,
and
fail,
again,
fail,
and
fail,
again,
fail,
and again,
and then
and again, and then
play Burning Man.
And then
play
just
Burning
fucking
Man.
Get it.
Yeah, I feel that.
The journeys, I mean, after that first gig, going back to playing that and really reflecting on what it is I felt and what it is I want to do moving forward, it was like this snowball effect. And literally the moment after I played that gig, like someone asked me to play another gig a couple weeks later, and then another gig. And then we went to Costa Rica, and then I was playing some gigs out there in exchange for dinner. I was playing at these bars. There was nobody there but me and Selena, but I fucking had a blast. Yes. I was ripping it. I was just in the music, loving it. I did not care. It was practice. It was like, fuck yes. I am so grateful for this opportunity to play, to be able to get a great meal in exchange, some drinks with my beautiful girlfriend. We're in Costa Rica. It was fun. It was fun. I fucking rode my bike down the street with my controller in my backpack and my laptop, and I would plug into their audio system. It was like this shitty PA, and it is what it is. Like, I fucking loved it, and that's when you're doing it for you and not for fucking show and tell over here for this image, right? And so I was playing at these empty bars, and then eventually I played that beach party on Christmas Eve.
Woo!
Oh my God, that was a spontaneous event. One of our friends that we made there, he threw these parties on the beach, pulled like 300-400 people at least. Yeah. And I played for like 7 hours from like 1 a.m. till sunrise. It was insane. Yeah. And that's when I knew this is really it. This is like, I was so in it. There was people, I remember this guy from France was at the front fucking losing his mind. His shirt was off. He was like, I know this track. This is the good shit. You know what's up. Yeah. And I was just like, this fella knows, like this is it. When someone recognizes that what's up, it's like, okay, we got a connection here. Like, we're throwing down right now. We're gonna rip it. We're gonna play all like just some housey, sexy, groovy, fun stuff, and it's interesting because, through those experiences, I started stepping more into what it is I like, what it is I don't like, what works, and you're influenced by so many different people that you hang around with, and the different parties you play, and the scene in your own city. And it's so easy to get washed up in what's happening locally and forgetting about what it is that actually lights your fire, and then there's that fucking hole you fall into where it's like you're now
Yes.
playing. It's still authentic because, if you were playing a different style, you're still playing to what resonates with you.
Yeah.
However, I started dabbling into different sounds and, some darker stuff and harder stuff. And looking back at those moments, I'm like, that ain't it.
Yeah.
That's not for me. Although, I still killed it and I had a great time doing it. I just, where I am today after, it's been 2.5 years now of DJing, I've now 360. I ended up where I first started when I was collecting vinyl and
Hey.
and, and going to, my boys' parties where they're ripping just like OG proper Chicago, Detroit, like back to the roots,
Back to the bedroom.
back to
bedroom
the back
DJ.
to the bedroom
Get
DJing
everybody
and
in
the
your bedroom.
disco and the funk and that's it's like there's so much good music out there and different flavors, and I my library's full of all types of different sounds and flavors and genres. I have a broad spectrum that I resonate with. Ultimately, I feel like I finally stepped into my sound through all of this trial and error, and I'm finally able to own that, and people now, after I play a gig, they're like, I love your style.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you. And I have this, it's me, it's authentic to me.
Embodied.
And there could be another DJ who plays the exact same tracks you play in a different way, and it's going to be completely different from what you're playing and how you show up there, not only musically, but your presence, your energy, all of it, So it's like there's a beautiful art to DJing and the way you're playing the music. That was another lesson that I learned along the way. There was times where I had all this great music and I was almost like felt like I was hoarding it. Like I'm like, don't want people to figure out what it is or where it comes from, because it was like, like these are like I started like attaching myself to the specific tracks.
Yeah.
And then I realized like, no, what the fuck? Like that goes against everything that I'm doing, what I stand for as an artist and wanting to share music and other artists' music and IDs and all of it. It's like, fucking give it all out. Like, no, this is it. Because I now know that what I'm doing, it cannot be replicated by anyone else, because this is me, this is my flavor, this is what I'm doing. And so, yeah, there was ultimately that. And you can really take that and apply it to life, and really have that abundance mindset. And remove this scarcity mindset. And I feel like where we grew up, I seen it time and time again. There's, in the business world, entrepreneurial world, it's like people, they have these connections and, they know what you're doing. They hoard these connections instead of like connecting you with the right people for whatever reason, and then it's like you go to LA where we just were after Burning Man, and it's like everyone's connecting you with everybody. It's like, oh, you got to meet this person. He's doing this, this, and this. And then it's like you're moving so quickly.
Yes.
Because everyone's looking out for each other, and I think that ultimately comes back to when you know what you've got and what you're doing, and when it's authentic to yourself, there is no scarcity. It's like you can give out as much as you want. You could connect people with everyone. It's not going to take away from what you're doing. What I'm doing as an artist, as a DJ, there's so many things that I've also translated to life and where I'm at now. And this is kind of the perspective and the mindset I'm currently in. I'm surrounded with so many amazing, talented people in my life, and my friends and my homies and everyone's doing amazing shit. and it's like help one another along the way, and to be able to teach one another and to grow individually and collectively. It's such a powerful thing, and community is everything. And music is community. Going back to my story about going to the record store and digging for records, and learning about what's happening culturally and in the community within your scene, and then being connected with someone in this country and then going there, and it's like the power of community, stepping into that with that abundance mindset, is so powerful. And if everyone thought like this and operated from this frequency, I feel like we just all get much further together as opposed to alone. I see that now musically, just collaborating and learning. I recently started producing earlier this year with a really good friend of mine, a brother, Dante.
Brother Dante.
Brother Dante.
Brother Dante.
And all my other friends as well. And it's like, it's a beautiful thing, being able to find, after many, many years, I've always wanted to produce. And I remember it was December of 2022, and I was writing out some of my goals for the upcoming year, 2023. One of them was music production and producing my own track. I did that, and it's not out yet, and we're currently working on some other music, and I was able to co-produce that with Dante and some of my other friends, and it's fucking incredible. Just being able to like sit down in a session and jam with another individual who has their own unique flavor, and then you have your flavor, and then you throw that into a pot and you have yourself this fucking magical recipe. And it's like, that's what you're creating together, right? So when you look at that and apply it to life, to business, any projects you might have, it's really, at the end of the day, all the same thing. And it's about how you approach it and how you show up and your mindset and philosophy around it all.
You told that journey story so poetically, embedded with lessons. We love that at Soul Party. We love the lessons along the story. And I just wanted to jump in at every moment and be like, LA, yes, this.
Think
everything.
like LA.
Think like LA. Think like LA. I just want to have a moment to talk about the LA point just really quickly, because this is something that I never understood until I was there myself. And in season 1, my original podcast, Sunny with a Shot of Sarcasm, there's an episode called Think Like LA with a really good friend, Cindy. Think Like LA. Honestly, I looked back on those reels yesterday, and those reels have aged like the finest French wine there is, because I get it now. Everything she talked about LA, I get it now, ever since being there. And there was such a resonance for us because we are so those people. When you're in LA, like Matt just said, everybody is there to connect you. They're like, oh, so what do you do? Oh, great. Yeah, I know somebody. Oh my God, all of us, we should get together tomorrow and do this. Like, people are moving. No scarcity, abundance mindset. Everybody wants to help each other. For us, we assimilated, like, we were like, wow, this is the best, because it's so us. We've always been those people. We are incredibly giving. Anything that any knowledge, lessons, skills that we've acquired along our journeys, we are so generous with giving those to other people.
Sorry.
We're just sipping a little Perrier. We're so generous with giving that to people, and it's not even a second thought for us. But I love how you outlined that point of your journey, though, when there was that aspect of scarcity. And if you were to assess that, because we're so not those people, but you had that moment, and I think a lot of us have that moment in our journey where we're like, I don't want to tell anybody, I want to keep this to myself, nobody can know. Why do you think that was? Was it a certain type of music? Was it a certain stage of your journey? What was going on? Do you recall what it was?
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear. Why? And a lack of confidence, perhaps. Oh, if this person goes out and plays these gems that I'm playing, it's like, well, I could.
Where does that leave me?
Where does that leave me? Am I
Yeah.
going to be replaced? It was like this, it was like a very brief moment that I caught myself doing this. And I was like, no. I'm like, this is very
no, baby.
no. This isn't like this isn't me, this isn't like, this is the complete opposite of everything I'm doing here. And it's like against like my ethos and the way I move and groove.
Move and groove, baby. Was there something else you wanted to say? Because I wanted to prompt you to where you're at right now, because I want to talk about floor play. It's all happening on the floor, baby. Tell us, so where we've gotten to now, because now, like, you feel like for the last little bit, you're like back to the roots, you're like back where you started. And I think that journey, that 360-degree journey, I found myself there too. I'm like, hold on a second. I'm like, my thing has been there. This, what you're seeing right now, this thing, this voice, this how I am, it's been there the whole time. And when you're navigating this journey of self-discovery, when you're penetrating new industries that you're the new kid on the block too, it's a little intimidating. And that's where the fear comes in, because you're like, oh wait, like that's what's trendy right now, or that, like you said, your city, you're this, you're that. Like even for myself, not with DJing, but just, entering new spaces, new communities where I'm the new person and I'm trying to create in this community. And I'm like, oh, well, this is what everybody's on. They don't want to learn like what I'm offering. And I'm trying to convince myself that something else is more valuable outside of myself. You come back around that 360-degree through many pivotal moments on the journey that show themselves to you, mere moments, other people, conversations with people, like they just all add up. And then you're like, wow, I'm home.
Oh, I just got chills.
I'm home.
I just got chills. That's the exact feeling.
I'm home.
Right there. Like I'm fucking home.
Yeah.
I left the house.
I went for a caminade. I went for a spro walk.
I fucking went all around the globe and ultimately ended up back where I started.
Floor play.
On the same floor I stepped foot on when it all happened.
On the floor.
It's all happening on the floor, baby.
Tell us about floor play. What is floor play? And you don't have to tell us the vision for floor play, because we're going to see the vision for floor play unravel. But tell us what floor play is, because we've got a party coming up. And by the time this episode airs, the party would have already happened, because this will be in the new year, this episode. But tell us, like, what is floor play and the messaging and the value?
It's that new old thing. It's that new old thing. We're not doing anything new here. I mean,
we're doing a new old thing.
It's a new old thing. It's exactly that. And there was a lot we were doing with events and putting on these huge productions, and there was all kinds of moving pieces to it, performances, dancers, artists, painters, all the whole thing. And that's so beautiful and fucking incredible what you're able to do when you put all of those pieces together.
Yes.
But for me, it really took away from the music. And for me, that's really what it's all about. Because for me,
Perio.
on that dance floor, when you're in it and you're really in it, you're like, you're having a fucking spiritual breakthrough. You're unlocking, you're putting things out into the world, into the universe, your dreams, your visions, it's all being released. You're taking that visualization and tapping into these frequencies, and it's so powerful. And I could speak for myself, but being on specific floors with some of my favorite artists and seeing what they were able to do in an extended period of time beyond a 90-minute set, there's nothing like it. You know, you could go sit in meditation for hours on end and not achieve that. For me, at least, like I'm speaking strictly on myself here. Being able to bring that back where it's simple and it's rooted in the music, and you're able to educate the dance floor for an extended period of time. And my boy Roxy came to me and with this idea, and we were chatting and just kind of talking about how we've been feeling and our own journeys, and it just fucking clicked. It was like, yes, like I've been fucking waiting for this. Like this is it. This is exactly it. With the sound that I grew up on, that I started from myself, and having someone who's fully resonant on that and aligned and ready to fucking rock it. The power of being able to do that together is collaboration and community. And it was a 100% fuck yes. You know what that feels like? It's like there's nothing stopping you. You're going to go do that thing and you're going to continue doing it. Some magical shit's going to happen, and invite people onto that floor that we're creating here, and to be able to share and take them through that journey of sound and grooves and music. It's a very special thing. So on Saturday, in 2 days from now, we're throwing it down on the floor. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
This party's gonna happen. This episode's already gonna be released, and you're gonna see.
You're gonna see.
We're gonna share with you what's popping, what's happening, and
we're gonna show you what's popping.
And yeah, ultimately being able to like play some classic shit and play some new shit, and be able to weave that all together and play the new with the old and the present and the future. You're gonna see what's up. You're gonna see what's going on, and it's an extension of who we are as individuals as well. So if you know us, you know what we bring, you know what's about to go down on the floor. It's that new old thing.
You just mic dropped this whole session, but I just wanted to go back to something that you said. For people who might not understand what you mean when you say that, like, spiritual experiences on the dance floor. And I can share from my own experience. I feel like I've talked about this before, maybe just on Instagram, maybe in a reel, but never in an episode where I can explain it in more depth. But when there is a safe and intentional dance floor created for you to fully express yourself, when you are also feeling confident and cracking yourself open as well, and doing the work on yourself so that you also feel safe in you. It's not only about the space, but it's also you feeling safe in you. So these communities that we've tapped into, we've had the pleasure of being able to just have these intense, incredible experiences on the dance floor, surrounded by beams of love all around us, full acceptance, full self-expression, and everybody is celebrating each other for it and amplifying it. They're amplifying this vibration. Everybody's like, you're like doing the worm, and everybody's hyping you up. Okay, that doesn't happen anywhere you go. You're not just gonna go out in Toronto, somewhere on King Street West, and bust out the worm on the dance floor. And that's why, full circle, why we create these experiences, why it's so worth it, all the work. It's us giving back to this community that we're so grateful to be a part of. And we're on a mission to welcome more people into that all the time. So if we can take this same potent energy and we can ripple it outwards and welcome more people, make it more approachable, make it more accessible, make the tickets $22 to get through the door like it is on Saturdays. If we can just, you know, strip back a few layers, have our extravagant events, but also have like these more chill, come as you are, disco,
open invite to everybody,
disco house influence, like this you guys are infusing disco into the look, the marketing. Like disco for me is life. Like disco, I grew up on that. For me, it's a very inclusive genre. Yeah, disco. If you're watching and you see the disco, if you know Soul Party, you know that disco is life. That's it. If you know Soul Party, you get it. There's disco balls everywhere, all over everything that I do. But it's just such an inclusive genre. It's an inclusive era. Like it's just, love what's happening. I admire it so much. I feel like it's home for you guys, and I love reflecting on this whole journey because I said it from the beginning, and I was like, Matt, like I still remember when you played Summer Days and you were practicing, bedroom practicing vibes, and we're like giving you feedback and whatnot
at Antonio's condo.
Antonio's condo. And we're giving you feedback, and I was like, this is it. Like disco, just the influence. I'm not saying drop disco all night long for 5 hours, but just that influence.
Well, that's where house music started, right? So
exactly.
It's like tying it all in and taking people, giving them a history lesson.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's just such a positive frequency that is embedded in disco, and thus where house music started.
Right? And it takes you back.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, when you're in a deep meditation, perhaps it's a guided meditation, and they tell you to close your eyes and visualize your 3-year-old self. That's what this is doing. You're hearing these bass lines that you're grooving so hard to, and you don't even realize that it's actually from an old track from like the 70s or the 80s that like it's being sampled from, and it brings back, it takes you back in time to when you were a kid growing up on that music, your mother, your father playing it, you know? So it's able to bring you back. There's that sense of nostalgia, but also connecting it with the present and bringing you into the future, accessing all those different places. And through that, it's just, you're able to truly let go and release whatever it is inside in any sort, way, shape, or form by shaking, moving, that hip thrust, you know, whatever it is. There's a powerful healing aspect to that, by being able to do that. It's a spiritual thing. Yeah. As they always said, that was their church back in the day. Like that was it. Like you're going out on the dance floor, and you know, the dance floor has evolved in many different ways today as we know it. We're taking it back and cultivating that energy, and it's happening in so many amazing cities all over the world. There's so many pop and dance floors and scenes in Europe and Central America, South America, everywhere, you know, like there's pockets, and it's happening and it's happening and it's happening. But just being able to like infuse our own flavor and our own energy to it, it's an exciting thing, you know? So it's all happening. It's all happening as it, I could feel it in every bone. So we'll see you on the dance floor. We'll see you on the floor.
We'll see you on the floor. What makes you feel inspired to make music? And what do you do when you're not inspired?
That's a great question.
Stevie grows a jungle. Shout out.
Stevie grows a jungle.
She's growing the jungle.
Great question. When I'm feeling uninspired, I get on the floor.
You go receive.
I take it on the floor. So I go out.
You go receive.
I see what's going on. Mm-hmm. Perhaps I'm at an event and I'm even feeling uninspired, you know? So it's like, then I'm like, okay, well, this ain't it. So let's take it back into the
Let's go to
archives
the
here.
stew.
Let's go to the record store. Let's go dig through some records. Let's see what's up. You know, let's go online. Let's go on all these different outlets and all these resources that we have access to through the internet, right? And just go back in time, watch old documentaries. Actually, that's what I've been doing these last few weeks, and just really taking it back and learning even more about it. And I'm even rewatching some documentaries I watched like 5-6 years ago. And recently I've been feeling quite uninspired with a lot of the new stuff that's been coming out. And I always find myself going back and digging for that old stuff that's been there, and it's been like kind of put on a shelf, and it's like, well, that's it. And it's influencing what we hear today, right? So it's like going back in time, really understanding it, where it's all coming from, and that's been inspiring the fuck out of me, and it's influencing me in so many ways. And then also connecting the dots on like these old tracks, these new tracks that were out, and how it's all one in the same. And that's how I find my inspiration, by just taking it back, dialing it back, going back to the roots, learning, understanding, digging, exploring my curiosity for different sounds and genres, and all in places I never thought I'd look. There's just always something sitting there ready for you to take on, with this inherent perspective that you've shaped through your experiences, and creating something new.
Yeah.
Although there's times where I'm like, fuck, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go here. I gotta go there. I gotta go to these different events. And it's like, yes, for sure, like environment is everything. However, we have the ability to do that on our own at home. You know, it's like there's different ways to get inspiration. And I like to start with, what do I have access to right now? And I start there. And then if I want to take it to another level, I'll travel somewhere and I'll go check something out that relates to that thing, and further my curiosity, my exploration. And again, this is, you can take this and apply it to your own narrative.
I have another question for you though. What advice would you give to a DJ that's just starting out? So much. How do you narrow it down?
Go pick up whatever you can afford, right? Because there's so many different things you can buy, and so much money you can spend on all these things. But if you're just trying to learn the basics, like, just get a basic controller. You got your laptop, download the software, start downloading some music, buying some tracks, and learning the basics. And perhaps go on YouTube, learn about some of the basic functions of whatever equipment you're using, and even pick up the manual and look at what this does and what that does, and just understand it, learn it, and then like start just messing around with it, right? Just experimenting, getting your feet wet, and keep doing it. Eventually, you know, you if you find yourself like curating all these playlists, and that's actually what I was doing before I started DJing. I was like making a playlist for every time of day, for every scene, mood, emotion, all the things. You know, I'd be working and designing away, and then I have on my left screen, I got my Spotify open, and I'm slotting music into different playlists and sharing these lists with people, and they're vibing it. And so you can actually bridge the two together, and like, okay, take the list you've been making, download it, plug it into your controller, start playing it. You know, maybe you have some friends over, you start playing for them, and just keep doing it. And then get yourself out there, make it known. If that's what you're trying to do as a DJ, if you're trying to, you know, whatever avenue you try, there's so many different avenues you can take as a DJ. But yeah, it starts with you, and if that's something you enjoy doing, whether there's people there or not, then you know it's it, and just continue it. Just a reminder for everybody is if the opportunity isn't there, create it. You want to DJ? You've been practicing? You have some music you've been dying to share with all your friends? Get a space, invite some people, throw it down, baby. Throw it all down on the floor. Get it.
I think that's a great point.
And it starts there. It's like that's what I did.
That's what you did.
That's what I did.
Doing
That's
events,
what I
like
did.
literally
doing events. I created the playground for myself to go out and play play what I want and for as long as I want, and not have to, like, yes, you know, go out there and do what, you know, support all these other organizers that are doing so many amazing things and booking so many incredible artists, and go out there, and if the opportunity presents itself, you know, go get it. You know, you had this like idea in your head, but you've never done it, you know, and then you finally go and get that thing, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, well, it's not actually how I imagined it to be. You can expedite that process by just doing it yourself and learning what's for you, what's not, and that's how you grow, right? So go get it. Light up that flame. It starts with you.
The metaphors.
Get it.
Well said.
And just to like inform those who don't know me so well, it's like I'm a working class DJ. You know, I do art direction and graphic design, which is also in the creative field. I'm also producing music and creating events and DJing, and that's how it all starts. Just have fun. Have fun with it. It's not so serious. Just fucking, excuse my language. Just go get it.
I like that point because I'm also a working class individual with the things that I create. You know, there's sometimes friction around it, because when you find like your soul calling, when you find that moment of this is home, this is it, you have two choices. And it's you can pursue that thing full time, dedicate your 100% into it, or you can work part-time, you could work full-time, you could be doing your passion on the side. There's no way that's right or wrong. Absolutely no way. There's a rainbow of possibilities of how you can do this. But I think what's important is that you're not giving up on your dream just because it's not going to make you money right away. If it can't become if you don't have the means to make it your full-time thing, don't get discouraged. Just because you hear all these stories out there, all these success stories of people who put their 100%, all their hours in a day were dedicated. It's like, yeah, they might move really quickly. They might do really well, or maybe they don't. You hear different types of success stories all across the board. So just because you don't have the means to make your dream, fulfilling your dream, 100% of your time, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't still pursue it. Just because you're going to be putting money into your hobby, into your dream, rather than maybe making money from it, you'd be doing yourself a disservice to not do that thing. People have hobbies that they pay money for. People go line dancing, they do pottery, they pay money for it. They're not making money. My mom does line dancing every Tuesday night and she doesn't make a dime from line dancing. It brings her joy, it's fulfilling, it brings her a sense of community, play, presence. She gets so much from it, and it's there's so much opportunity for growth as well. Like, you will 100%, as we said in the previous episode with Stefano, you will 100% become a better person from going after the things you want instead of sitting around and doing nothing.
And don't get it twisted. There will come a time.
Yeah, when you
if
can make
if
that transition.
you can make the transition,
Yeah.
and it'll eventually then balance out. And whatever it is you were doing for money, it's like now you could drop that and go full in. You got to just remember that things take time, and you need to put in the work and the hours, the years. There's so many super successful DJs that I've met, some of my favorites that I've chatted with, and it took a long fucking time. Like, we're talking like 10, 12, 15 years,
Yeah.
you know? Like, I'm super grateful that I've created this opportunity for myself, and I've been able to play some really sick gigs for opening up for some of my favorite artists in a short period of time. But I've also been in the scene, in the space for quite a long time, like almost like 8, 9 years, you know, making these connections, understanding things. And so the work is done in different ways that may or may not relate to that specific thing you're trying to do, but it takes work, and there's levels to everything in life. And the moment you try to skip a level, you're going to be thrown right back down, and you're going to have to start again. And it's like, okay, no, I'm back where I started here, and like, let's do this properly.
Mm-hmm.
We're not skipping, you know, from the first floor to the 5th floor by, like, we got to either go in an elevator or take the stairs. But in one way or another, we're going to fucking get there.
Stairs, get the elevator.
You know, you can't just like fly, like,
No,
unless you're
can't.
Spider-Man. And
Maybe, depending. But I love that point because, yes, there is levels to this stuff, and it's all a preparation. Imagine your first gig was instead of like your comfortable cozy festival with like people that you know, and like that, I'm sure that was kind of scary as well still, but imagine that your first gig was something completely different, a massive show. It was a massive show in Ibiza at DC-10, and that was your first. I don't know, I'm just pulling shit out. But imagine that it's all a preparation. And that's the same advice as well that I was just chatting with one of my friends, and
that would never happen because you need to work to that.
No,
right?
of course. But I think that the preparation is so necessary. Like, as much as you want to sit around and manifest for all of these, the best and the biggest opportunities to come to you, you would not be okay. What would you do if you were at the biggest show and you skipped levels and you went right to the biggest show? You would play a shit set because you don't have any experience.
I see what you're saying. It would spit you right back down. It's like, okay,
right
no, go
down.
do the work.
It's like, no,
Right.
you have work to do.
Hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, you have work to do. And that's the same advice that I was giving a friend as well when it comes to podcasting. It's like, it's all a self-study. Me editing my episodes has been the biggest opportunity for growth for me because I am constantly watching myself, how I communicate, how I listen. I am critiquing myself all the time. I don't even have to write it down. I'm just watching myself, and then the next time I'm behind a microphone, I already know. I don't even need to review it. It's not like step 1, do this. No, we're self-studying. We're inferring the information. It's like we're ready. The next time we're here, I'm like, I already know it all. I don't have to review it. I'm like, I know. And when people get choked up and they're overly critical on themselves about their performance, that's the same advice that I give them. I'm like, there's levels to this. If your dream is to be, if we're talking about podcasting and you want to be interviewed, for example, I love Whitney Cummings. She is my favorite comedian. She is a massive inspiration to me. And I've said, when somebody asked me, who's your dream guest on Soul Party? And I said, it's Whitney Cummings. I'm not ready for Whitney Cummings right now. I wasn't ready for Whitney Cummings on episode 1, episode 5, episode 8. I wasn't ready for that. because I need to sharpen my skill set. I need to sharpen my blade as a host, as a communicator, as an interviewer. There is levels to that. So if I got Whitney Cummings in your seat right now, would it be as good if it was maybe in 10 episodes right now?
Well, the paradox of life, of course, is you're never actually going to be ready. And that's the exact thing that inhibits people from going to get the thing, because they feel like they're never ready. You got to just do.
Precisely. That's what we're doing right now.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
And we're self-studying.
And that, right, the self-study is so critical. It's so important. That's also another piece of advice that I have for you.
Right
is
in there.
record your sets and listen back to them. I did that even when I was spinning vinyl. I would record my sets, and then on my drive somewhere I would throw it on, and you start to learn. You're like, oh, okay, that I rushed that transition. Like, let it breathe a little, let it loop for a bit, ease into it. You know, it doesn't need to be so rushed. And so there was a lot there's a lot you can learn from reviewing your own work.
Yes, reviewing your own work. Even with dancers as well. One of our friends, Anahata, is an incredible dancer. And she told me, she's like, even though it's cringy, I record every time I dance, like just with myself in my room, in my backyard, wherever. She's like, I will record myself, because then when I watch it back, I will see, wow, I just like hit a flow state. I was like really in that. I didn't even know what I did, but I see what I did, and I'm going to do more of that. And I'm going to do less of this thing, and I'm going to do more of this thing. That's the self-study.
Yeah.
So yes, I think in life, it's like this, what we're telling you right now is every reason to not procrastinate, because you're critical on yourself.
And don't be a perfectionist.
Yeah. It's a gift. It's a gift that you have something documented. Like, the fact that you're even being self-critical means that you care, means that you want to improve.
Yes.
So don't be a perfection. Embrace it. Embrace
the fuck ups.
Oh, that was super cringy. Oh, I didn't like that. I did that, but you're going to know for next time. That is the only way to improve, is to self-study, is to reflect, integrate those lessons. So I love this balance. It's like, yes, throw yourself into the things. That's how you don't procrastinate. The big opportunities, the small opportunities, throw yourself into it, because you're going to learn, but also always look at them as an opportunity to learn.
It's part of the process. And you're always going to be your own biggest critic. And even myself, I record most of my sets, and I listen back to them, and I'm always learning.
And I kind of want to talk about authenticity, because for me, the times that I maybe, like, if I look way back on my journey, the times that I'm maybe the most self-critical is when I feel like my work was just not authentic. Because then I look at it and I'm like, oh, this isn't even me. I don't even feel like myself. What am I trying to be? What am I trying to perform right now? So I think that's another piece of advice as well. I know that you mentioned it earlier in this conversation along your journey. It was like your journey with finding your sound. Sometimes it did feel like that was you at the moment. Sometimes you left the set and you're like, I don't even like that I played. Why was I playing that? Why did I go there? Like, if you mess up, it's a lot of an easier blow if you know in your heart that you were fully being yourself.
Yeah, and if you give yourself permission to fuck up, we all should give ourselves permission to fuck up.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're learning and growing, and it's life. It's the process, and that's how you get to the next level. So embrace it and allow it. Don't be so hard on yourself, and take it for what it is, and be grateful.
Well, I feel like we've arrived. I feel like we've arrived at the conclusion of the conversation around music and DJing.
And life.
So I think we could move on to our next topic, which is
Give it to me.
everybody wants to know
I don't
about.
even know what this topic is gonna be.
Everybody is asking about this topic.
All right. You got me at the edge of my seat
up,
here.
Sally.
Woo!
Buckle up.
Woo!
It's gonna be a bumpy ride. I wanna boom bang bang with your body, yo. We're gonna rough it up before we take it slow. Girl, let me rock you like a rodeo. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Whoa!
Give it to me.
Give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby. It is
Drum roll,
about
please.
relationships.
All right.
Before we go, I'll leave you with the question of the podcast. What makes you feel like your soul is having a party? Ask someone you know or someone new and watch their face light up. It's not often we ask each other about what makes us feel the most alive. And I bet you'll learn a heck of a lot more about that person than you would by just asking, "So how are you?" Share your soul party moments and soul party anthem with me on Instagram. If you don't remember it, I will leave everything in the show notes below, all the ways to reach me and my guests. If you want to support this podcast, please hit subscribe, leave a rating and a review, and let me know what resonated with you in the comments and on socials. And don't forget to share it with others so we can change more conversations from, "So what did you do today?" to "What lights your soul on fire?" Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you groovy cats at the next soul party.